what is scenario-based development or scenario-based design? It's essentially more or less structured storytelling with personas that are based on user data, or characters that are based on user data. It's an iterative method to design user interfaces, and it's especially useful if you're designing mobile or unconventional user interfaces that are not fully explored, or where you have still some wiggle room, for example, voice interfaces or big touch interfaces that where you have still some not every technology is explored yet. It's very useful when you have user interfaces with rather different user groups. For example, people that are not savvy with computers, and on the other side, developers. If both are using the systems, like how could you cater to both audiences? And if your applications are used in widely different contexts, for example, for a voice-based application that is used like Amazon Alexa, that's used in your home, and you get up, there's a different context rather than at a party where different people speaking, where loud music is playing, different requirements, and there are different things we use the interface we really need to react to. An important point is you need user research as a foundation for everything we are talking about here, because otherwise these scenarios and these personas would be little more than fiction, obviously. So we will use an example to lead us through the presentation and through the scenarios and personas and the like. We want to develop a fitness tracker. For example, we're an insurance company and we want to promote a healthy lifestyle for our customers. And our fitness tracker should have the following features. I want to track how many steps I took during the day. I want to be able to set my goals for the day, and I want to be able to inform about my progress. So a rather simple application. What can we do? So yeah, first of all, before we jump into it and talk about the scenario and look at the scenario, I will tell you what the scenarios are, and you will see in an example later what these features that I talk about here. Scenarios are essentially descriptions of people using your technology or your system. They are great because they highlight the goals that people have influenced by your system, how your system makes people react to the feedback they get from your system or your app. For example, how would a fitness tracker influence our daily lives? Would we really move more because we have this fitness tracker that tracks our steps and so on, or would we shy away from using it altogether because we are demotivated because we never can reach our goals? What could happen when we design the fitness trackers? Scenarios also highlight the interactions of the user with your system. For example, what are the typical activities you want to? What do you seek of a fitness tracker? Do you want to show or share your daily steps to someone else? Do you want to look at your history to see your progress? Something like this. And also, you can, in a scenario, describe the interpretation of your system, the feedback your system gives, and how different feedbacks could make people react. For example, you could write a scenario where your fitness tracker is more like a drill instructor or more like a motivating fitness trainer, and see how different personas would react to these kinds of changes. And yeah, why should you use scenarios? Scenarios are simply stories, so they are cheap, they're easy to write, and they are only text-based, so they are very flexible and can be easily refined. You can add details or leave details out. They specify the functionality of your app or your system in the context of use. If you compare it, for example, to a use case where you simply have the possible interactions with a system, you have one path that leads through a system that this person in this context would take. For example, a person that is late for work would take other paths than a person that is about to continue their daily routine. And yeah, scenarios emphasize people's goals, plans, and their understandings of your systems. That's important because a novice user would have another understanding than an expert user of your system, and would need different and has different requirements. Yeah, let's talk about an example scenario. I will read it to you, so you don't have to read it yourself. Diana Peterson gets up at 7 a.m. She freshens up, eats some oatmeal for breakfast, and heads out for a swim. The town's pool is miles away from her dorm, so she rides her bike to get there. After a swim, she cycles back to her college and attends the lecture for the day, Anatomy and Evolution Theory. Before class, Diana checks her fitness tracker. She barely has taken any steps today, since she rode her bike and took a swim, and the number is depressingly small. So she deliberately walks the stairs and longer routes to the lectures. She even ends up pushing her bike to the library to increase the step count. In the evening, Diana goes to train volleyball with the college team. She and her teammates compare their step count for the day. Her fitness tracker only displays her meager step count and not her long bike rides and swimming routine. After getting teased a bit, she tries her hardest to win every round in the volleyball match to restore her pride. So this illustrates a day in the life of this Diana Peterson person. It's maybe a bit too contrived to highlight some features of scenarios, like the interactions with her system, like it influences her goals because she wants to increase her step count and thus ends up taking longer walks and also pushing a bike. And it shows the context of use. She uses it throughout the day, and even in social uses to share her step count with her friends and tries to impress them. It highlights this scenario observes the current practice with a normal step tracker, and it is a problem scenario. Huh? Maybe. But who is this Diana person, and why should we care about Diana and what her day is like? Diana is a persona. First I talk about a bit about personas, then we'll see the persona of Diana Peterson. Personas are like character sheets. You could say they capture characteristics of a user, like, for example, like competitiveness or laziness, something like this. The habits, like the daily sports routine, daily commutes, or even more riding the bike than driving cars, smoking, something like this. And they also capture the social environment and socio-economical status of a person. They are written down to have the same user, persona and user in all scenarios, and thus you avoid changing your user throughout scenarios to fit your own narrative in different situations, and the user behaves consistent in all scenarios. Personas are not idealized, like, for example, Diana is a bit petty or or maybe a bit too competitive because just because the step count was low, she is hurt in her pride and wants to try hard in the volleyball match. And they are not superheroes. They are not without fault. They don't know the system in and out that you provide them, but they also have to learn how to use the system if they are not already experienced with it. Also, personas not necessarily are technical people and know a lot about, and have to know a lot about computer technology like you as a developer. But maybe one or two of them are pretty experienced developers. Could be. Depends on their user group. And they are brought to life because with names, with their characteristics, the personal background, so you can relate to the personas, so that you can talk about the personas and not just refer to them as this is the expert, this is the novice, but you have a face, a name, and you can talk about how would Diana react to this, how would Manfred react to this change in our system, and so that you can spark discussions around this. You should always have multiple personas in your for your scenario-based design process, so that you can write scenarios with multiple kinds of people and show how people react to your changes. So we use personas to, like I said, avoid the elastic user that fits your narrative, but no, it's not a real user. Maybe you are a designer and you want to use this new fancy technology when an older technology would be better, and you design your root user around it instead of basing it on the user data. And this is to avoid these kind of instances. Also, personas are there to avoid typical discussions like, if I were the customer, if your developers and designers talk about the system, if I were the customer or if I were the user, I would want this, this, and this. But your typical user is maybe not the typical developer that uses Linux and command lines and wants to configure everything as themselves, but they maybe just want to relax and use the system in a simple kind of way and not be led throughout through the system. And yeah. Also, most users are probably not as computer savvy as the people that are here in the room. This is an important point. If you take only one thing with you from this entire presentation, this would be it. 60% of all German users have poor to no computer skills. This is a fact that is taken out of a study of the OECD, and they made a study in 2000 from 2011 to 2015 about the computer skills of 16 to 65-year-olds. So it's not just the older user group, also 16-year-old to 30-year-old people. The digital natives have rather poor computer skills sometimes, and that has to be taken into account. Here is a graphic that shows the different kinds of level. Most people in this room are probably the level 3, the 5 to 8% that are really strong, have really strong computer skills, but here for Germany we have 2/3 of the user base have poor to no computer skills. And just to give you an example what level 1 means, what you had to do to be in level 1, you had find all emails by John Smith. That would be an example. So a rather simple task with next to no navigation with a custom program, that would be level 1. And 30% of the users cannot fit this criteria and cannot find all emails by John Smith or Robert Morava. So just to keep this in mind. when you design for your products, because if you don't design your product simple for these kinds of users, you cut out nearly 60% of a possible user base. Okay. Okay. I have also linked to this study and the article to this in the sources. So if you want to read it, it's quite interesting and quite an interesting read. So yeah, but creating personas. Meet Diana Peterson. We talked about her in our scenario, and we. And here are some data about her. This would be a character sheet. You can have obviously different. You can obviously have a different format. For example, at Eon there are some flyers with different customer types, like Manfred, the passive customer that just wants to be left in peace, and Britta, the conscious customer that wants to know everything about ecological power and something like this, and she always wants to be informed. So yeah, Diana is a college freshman, but studies biology and mathematics and aspires to study medicine in the future at a university. This would be like a socio-economic status and her goal in life. For now, she aspires to study medicine, but her goal in different contexts are obviously different. She is already familiar with the product because she owns a not step tracker, but would upgrade to a better product. So you can keep that in mind when you design your new system, that it can capture some features of our product to increase familiarity. And yeah, there are some characteristics listed, like that she loves to compete, and she shares a step count with her friends and family. It's to this level that if she would, if her batteries would fail and she wouldn't update her friends and family, they would worry about her because they haven't heard from her and her step count, something like this. She's this extreme. And there are also some habits listed, like she rides a bike to college and back, is part of the volleyball team, and swims regularly. So yeah. This is Diana, and she will. We will encounter in some data scenarios that we will talk about. So based on the scenario and the persona we have now, we can conduct a claim analysis. It's essentially a fancy name for a pro and con list. What is happening in this scenario? The claim analysis identifies how the features in the scenario impact the actors, how the system and context impact the actors, and they analyze both the positive and negative impact of the system. This is done to motivate design reasoning so that you want to increase your positive claims about this scenario and obviously minimize your negative points, but there always will be and have to be both positive and negative points because no solution is perfect. There are always trade-offs. Regarding our scenario that we talked about earlier, positive would be sharing her step count as a social activity. Diana shared a step count with her friends, and this engages her, the user. Also frustrated her in this instance. And tracking steps and checking up her progress encourages healthy behavior like using stairs. But also a negative point would be that the limit of the step tracker only tracking the steps and not her bike ride and her swimming frustrated Diana and forced her to move slower than usual to increase her objective progress because she had to take steps and not ride a bike to the library, for example. And yeah. how does this fit all together? What is the process for scenario-based development or design? Obviously, you begin with your analysis phase. You conduct user research to base your personas around them. You create personas based on your biggest user groups and assign them their characteristics. And then you try to describe the current practice in your problem scenarios. Afterwards, you begin to design with activity scenarios where you show what the user wants from the system, information scenarios that where you talk about how the information is displayed to the user and how the information will be processed. And lastly, interaction scenarios, which are essentially fully specified design features. I will talk about these types of scenarios in a bit. And after each scenario, you obviously do a claim analysis to see what was good in this scenario, what is good with these features, and what is bad. And after you designed, you prototype, you evaluate and iterate using typical prototyping techniques like paper prototyping could be used, result of force prototypes, mock-ups, or even physical prototypes if your product is not a classic user interface. So yeah, are there any questions to this point? Or should I explain the scenario types first? I will explain the scenario types first. So, we type the scenarios. We have a problem scenario here. Is no example because we had one earlier where we talked about Diana's day with a normal fitness tracker. They observe the current practice. They are based on your research, your observations, and they are there to identify problems and obstacles that have to be overcome. But they also should identify things that work good in the current practice. My UX professor always talked about, for example, to-do lists or emails, how it would be probably more efficient if you would take your to-dos and emails, and after you are finished with them, they would automatically delete. But some people, or most people, felt better if they could delete their to-dos or emails per hand if they just could move the post-it to done or the tasks to done and have this physical closure because they had to do it themselves. That's something that you can observe or can try to observe in problem scenarios. So, activity scenarios describe essentially what are typical and critical services that your user wants from your system, and they are rather abstract. They focus on pure functionality and don't talk about how the system reacts, how information is displayed, just what, yeah, for example, I want to increase my step count for the next few days. Like here in this scenario, Diana gets home after Thanksgiving. She decides to set her fitness goals higher for the next week. So she interacts with the system to get rid of her extra holiday pounds. She checks a tracker after her routinely swim to get an update on her progress. Another interaction with the system, but we don't get any information how all of it works, how the progress is displayed or something like that. She decides to add some exercise in the evening, since her current routine would just not be enough. After class, she goes to jog in the forest nearby and ends up in a cold autumn rain. She runs home as fast as she can. At least she is content with her progress today and shares it via Twitter with her friends. Something like this. And yeah. Also in this scenario, you can probably deduct that your fitness tracker should be at least rain resistant, which would not be covered in, for example, simple use cases. In this example, it's really trivial, but there could be other things that you can see when you write these scenarios that could be forgotten. Information scenarios elaborate on these activity scenarios and describe how the information is actually displayed to the user and how the user tries to react to them. For example, in this scenario, during summer, Diana and her friends cycle together to a lake nearby. At the lake, she checks her tracker and it shows half a cupcake. The calories burned or the steps taken is displayed in the cupcake. This is half a cupcake because she's only burned half a cupcake. Rather happy with her progress, she hangs around with her friends. On their way back, they stop at a chipotle to eat some dinner. Diana sees only one cupcake on her tracker. She does not want to overeat, so she just orders a small portion while her friends order bigger menus after the exhausting bike tour. What would you say to cupcakes as a progress, as an information, as a unit to show your progress during the day for fitness trackers or step counts? A fun fact, Google already tried something like this. They had a test switch for some users in their iOS Google Maps, and they showed this rock would burn this and this these mini cupcakes. Sounds like a great idea, but they got rather harsh feedback from the users and pulled it rather quickly. Users felt like they were shamed because they did not take the walk route, and some users claimed that with these kind of units and mini cupcakes would perpetuate eating disorders. I haven't taken this many steps. I don't deserve something to eat or something like this. Like here with Diana, she only sees one cupcake. She eats only a little bit because she feels a bit pressured by her fitness tracker. So yeah, like I said, they put this update or this test rather quickly, and there are no mini cupcakes anymore in Google Maps. And yeah, so interaction scenarios are essentially fully specified design visions where you have your users, their tasks, how the information is displayed, and how the system reacts to the user, the feedback of the system, and how the user in turn reacts to the feedback. They are typically longer than this, but it had to be short to fit on the slide. So during her bike rides towards college, Diana gets a push notification on her wearable device that she has already burned 300 calories this day, half of her daily goal. On the campus, she taps the notification to see her current progress as a sparkline. We see also that we got rid of the mini cupcakes after a bit of user feedback. And faded in the background, she can compare her average burned calories for the day. She had an excellent start. Diana waits for the lecture to end, jogs to her bike, and proceeds her hardest throughout the day. Her smartwatch vibrates again shortly after the training started to show her that she has finished her daily goal, completed her daily goal. So yeah, these are the different types of scenarios, and like I said, after each scenario we would conduct a pro and con list or claim analysis to see what worked well on the scenario for Diana, what didn't work well, and we would compare it with different different scenarios in the same category.